Hello, welcome to White Davy Gardening and Worm Farm. If you like my channel, please press the subscribe button. So I am going through and transplanting some of my plants. I was gonna wait a bit longer, but I don't want to because I'm in a race against time. So I decided to just go ahead and transplant. I made sure, however, that I have a lot of the plants that I definitely want to grow transplanted in these wicking buckets, because I realized that the things that are in these buckets, they seem to be doing very well. They're not bothered by pests and they're not bothered by being by the transplant, so because they're doing okay, so I transplanted some of the plants that are really important to me. So let's show you now. You see the mess in this area because today I am uppotting my herbs. So I am making sure that I have herbs to spread all around the garden. So the few herbs that I bought from the store and the ones that I started from seeds, I am separating them into different containers so that I can use them for pest control. So this here is one of my lemon mint that I started from seeds. So as I was saying in some of my previous videos, that I do not have any more space that I can plant up, and so I've decided that rather than trying to create more space, I'm going to try to utilize the space that I already have. So since as I have this railing here that is supporting the stand for my self-wicking bucket, so I'm going to put them to good use. So now what I'm doing is hanging all the pest repelling plant that I was going to put in a few of these buckets, and I'm going to be planting them in smaller pots and hanging them on the basket. That way I am freeing up more of the buckets to plant my vegetables, and then my pest repelling plants can be hung, and all of that space there would be going to waste. But now by hanging them, I'm creating more space. I'm also cheating a bit because in front of these red containers I am now putting small pots with herbs, so I'm utilizing that little space that would be going to waste. So I just transplanted some more purple Japanese yam, and this is, I think, Japanese sweet potato. It's not the purple variety. I haven't watered them yet. That is the next mission, but I'm using the hose to water the main raised bed. As you guys may recall, most of the plants that I planted in here died, so I went ahead and replanted. So anything that you see with the white on it, Epsom salt, are the things that I just replanted. So I am finished replanting everything that's going to be planted in this raised bed, but you may be wondering what these containers are doing in here. So these containers contain all the plants that I'm leaving behind and not transplanting. So these are my spare plants. So what I'm going to be doing with these spare plants is keeping them just in case something should go wrong with the ones that I just transplanted. Yes. So I was saying that I don't know what the problem is and why the plants died, but I have I figured out what the problem really was, because I noticed that the things that were planted in the main garden over there in the ground died, and the things that were planted in this raised bed, they died. I've also noticed that other things that were planted in other raised bed, they didn't die, but then they are not looking very well either. Now these plants that are in here were my healthy plants. So the sweet potatoes that are in here, the Japanese sweet potatoes and the Jamaican sweet potatoes, these were very healthy plants. They didn't have any problems with aphids at all. So nothing in this bed had problems with aphids, but yet still after transplanting them, and they got Epsom salt, which means that they wouldn't really be suffering from transverse shock. But if you look at the leaves, you will see that they are not doing so well. So I figured that two things happened to my plants. Now these plants in here, they're not doing well, and the reason they're not doing well is because of the compost that is in here. I have a lot, and I have about 6 inches of compost in this raised bed, so there is way too much compost in here, and so it is burning the plants. So that is what is happening with these. Now for the plants over here, if you look at my tomatoes, these are tomatoes that are store-bought. These were not affected by fungus gnat because they're store-bought. They didn't have any fungus gnat issue. But if you look at the leaves, you will see that the leaves are burnt. So yes, there is a little bit too much compost in here. Now these plants, however, did not die, and the reason these did not die as opposed to the other plants in here that died is because they were healthy when I planted them, but they are burnt because I have too much compost in this bed. The compost should have been mixed in with other soil, but I don't have any other soil to mix it in with. Even for the Rego cabbage that I use the compost to transplant, you can see they didn't have any fungus gnat issue because they were grown in water, but yet now they are burnt. So it's definitely the compost that is burning my plants. But that is not all. For the plants in this bed that died, they died because when I transplanted them, they were already affected by the fungus gnat, which means that they were in a weakened state when I transplanted them. And then when I put them in this bed that has too much compost in it, then it caused the plants to burn, in addition to the fact that they were already not very healthy, so they did not have what it takes to withstand the burn from the compost. And one might think that compost should not burn plants, but yes, compost, depending on how much you use, if you have a lot of compost in your garden, there's nothing wrong with that. But when your garden is composed of just compost and you don't have soil mixed in with the compost, then it becomes too strong. So that is what happened to this garden. Now I don't have any other soil, and if I go and purchase any soil, I'm not going to be getting just dirt or soil. I'm going to be getting a mixture of soil with compost. So I cannot even go and purchase soil in order to mix the content of this bed. So the only option I have now is to just continue as is, because it doesn't make sense to go and buy topsoil if I'm going to be getting compost mixing it, because that would be increasing the amount of compost that is already in here. So I'm just gonna continue and see what happens. I have transplanted everything in this bed, so now we'll see what happens next. Hopefully the plants will be fine this time around. Okay, so if you like this video and you would like to see more, please take a moment to give me a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe and turn on your notification for more updates like these. Thank you so much for watching, and have yourself a wonderful day. Yeah, man. time for grow.